Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Season 4 of Succession, which is indeed the final season of the show, produced by Adam McKay and Will Ferrell, and created by Jesse Armstrong, who has worked on other series and films like In the Loop, working with Armando Iannucci, and this particular series focuses on the Roy family, who are fighting over the rights to lead their company, Wayfair, and in this final season, we see a giant shift in power, which I feel like has been coming from this whole entire series, and I'm just going to say it at this point because this is covering the whole last season. Spoiler alert, I guess, if you don't know anything that's happened in this season, but there is the death of Logan Roy, played by Brian Cox, the patriarch of this whole family. And that episode where he passes, which is also the wedding of Connor, the oldest son, it is one of the best episodes of television I think I've ever seen. The acting was incredible. The tension was so high. The emotions were just overflowing. It's one of those kinds of things where this show, every single episode of this season was great. And this was really that huge bam, shifting the whole entire power dynamic of this series and how it shaped the final season to be. Alexander Skarsgård's character coming into the U.S. expecting to buy out this company, and the Roy children fighting over it, with Kendall, played by Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin playing Roman, and Sarah Snook playing Shiv, and them each having their own hopes and their own struggles for power in this dynamic. And of course, laying there in the weeds, Tom, Matthew McFadden's character, and Greg, played by Nicholas Braun, and how this power dynamic and all the yes men of the company, or how are they going to fit into all this with Carl and Frank and Jerry. This last season, especially after the third season, I was like, how much longer can they keep just bickering and fighting over this company before it becomes way too old? I think it needed to end with this season, and they played it out perfectly in terms of big moments and different aspects, and there's certain episodes that just blow you away. The wedding, Logan's funeral, and of course the finale, where all of this just keeps building up. The tension is heightening, just everything coming to blows. You have Connor in this season running for president, and the election night and how that paralleled the 2020 election. There's just so many things that this show is working on, big ideas thematically, but then each of these characters and how horribly unequipped to deal with life they are, because how horrible of a father and enabler Logan Roy was, who just allowed his children to never grow, and now they're fighting for scraps after his death. And that's what makes this last season so compelling. And will they come together as siblings? Will they tear each other apart? Will they backstab? Will they get behind one of them? And you just have Kendall, who is a neurotic, just hot mess of a human being, who doesn't know how to interact with people, is just the most awkward human being you ever meet. Jeremy Strong just embodies his character so perfectly. And it's like, should he really be running anything? And then you have Roman, who Culkin just brings this level of just complete, masterful chaos of emotions and thought, as this character is just disgustingly cold and destructive at times, and then just an emotional wreck at others. And Sook is just doing such a great job as Shiv, who's just clawing at any opportunity to stay relevant in this situation because she never was given a spotlight. But the real standouts, I feel like, are Tom and Greg, and McFadden and Braun have been just clawing, playing this game at every turn throughout this whole entire series, and especially at the end of the last season, just showed so much of their potential to just fail upwards. And this series comes to an end that I didn't quite expect, but also makes so much sense. And interestingly, frees some characters and others reinforce their gilded cages that they're stuck in. And it's just something so intriguing, and all the way up to the final vote. Because that's what this season's all about. Are they going to sell or not? And it's the same situation, the very first beginning of the show, of in that boardroom deciding who's going to take over and who will succeed. Logan, who's always held this power. And it is such a fascinating turn of events. And this show is so incredibly acted. The direction is so engrossing and intimate. This is an impressive series, and I feel like it really knew, okay, we need to wrap this up. It gave the season urgency and led up to a fever pitch by the end of this hour-and-a-half finale, which some of these characters are left out in the wind. And maybe that's what they needed. Or maybe it's going to be the end of them. And that's what's so fascinating about how confident this finale was in just ending where it needed to. So, in the end, this was a fantastic season of television. This is a great show. If you haven't watched Succession yet, now you could go back and watch the whole thing, unimpeded, and just take it all in. But those are my thoughts on Succession Season 4. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.